All right, here's some vital information. Okay, there you go.
Of the young King David and his deadly battle against the Philistine giant, Goliath.
David gets his slingshot. He throws the rock. It hits Goliath in the head, and it knocks him out and kills him. And if you read 1 Samuel 17, 49 and 50, it says, and he killed him with the stone, and then it specifically says there was no sword in his hand. Goliath is dead without a sword. And if you read the very next verse, it then says, David then took Goliath's sword and cut off his head and killed him. So now you've got Goliath being killed twice.
Okay, so let's take a look at what this gentleman says. I won't even say gentleman, but 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 49 says, and David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slung it and smote the Philistine in the forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. This guy on television is stating that there was no stone or no sword in the hand of Goliath. That is not what the text says. It says, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine and took his sword and drew it out of the sheath thereof and slew him and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. There was no contradiction to this text. This guy who is trying to say that the text is contradictory, that David had no sword and Goliath had no sword or whatever, is false. The text makes it very clear, but no sword in the hand of David. So what happened? The true, accurate teaching, David goes out to fight Goliath, slays Goliath with a stone. David did it without a sword in his hand, walked up to Goliath, took out Goliath's sword, and cut off his head. That is a true teaching. This guy who is teaching this on the History Channel is very, very inaccurate. And these are things that you have to watch out for, these false teachers. More to come.